Pledge of Allegiance. So just so that you don't think I'm screwed up any more than I am.
We would never think that.
Yeah, no.
No, he's putting the feel pity for me pad. This year. He thinks he'll get more money if he comes in, I'll be that. That happened down in Bristol last night.
Jeez. I think she's not working good with Bill too long.
I can see that.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. For the select board. Chief Lash, you're first up.
Thanks for letting me butt in tonight. I promise it won't take long. So I'm here just to initially present my policy to the select board for new body camera usage. We just received new body cameras on a grant. And before we put them into use, we need a policy approved. This policy is pretty much a cookie cutter policy. I did not reinvent the wheel. A few years ago, we purchased a policy development program from Dirigo Safety, who now does the model policies for the Maine Chiefs of Police Association and now for the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. So this is, like I said, this is a cookie cutter, straightforward body camera policy that was just tweaked with verbiage for Waldboro PD. So there's no surprises in here. You all should have had it in a packet to be able to look through it. And I just wondered if anybody had any questions on it. I believe the thought is for you guys to vote on it Tuesday. So, and if anybody had any questions on the policy or the body cameras in general?
How many do you have for your?
So we have 10 cameras total.
Yeah.
Each full timer gets a camera. The shellfish warden has a camera. And then there's a spare and one for reserve officers that will share one. Yes, Bob.
How do you guys feel about, I mean, this in essence is surveilling them too.
Yeah,
not
so
just here.
the pros outweigh the cons. We just had an incident this week where we had a complaint made against us, and I was able to get the body camera footage from the sheriff's office guys who are on scene that completely nullified the situation. So they're gonna protect us more than they're gonna harm us.
Yeah.
Yeah. More questions? All right, that's all I got. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, let's call the budget committee meeting to order.
All right, may we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir, John.
I just wanted to comment, the other night, we sat here for quite a bit of time discussing the fire department's budget. I certainly hope that we have the opportunity to readdress that budget, maybe next week or in a future meeting. To go over that number a little bit more, because we definitely need to look at it tight. Kyle had, or Julie sent out some information to all the budget committee members. Hope we get a chance to read that. There's good information in there. Maybe we can talk about that stuff again and see where we can cut that back a little bit. Just so that we are not going into the voting. We go to vote, that we're gonna be starting over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as we vote on each department, we're gonna have to run through the discussion. Go through the options we have.
We didn't virtually the other night, we didn't do anything except for see what he had on.
Right.
Where the PD and Public Works and Transfer Station, we cut right there that night.
We ran through a number of suggestions, yeah.
Okay. Julie, can you hear us? Okay.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Try that.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Just
I'm
wanted to
just a
check
little,
in.
I'm a little
Yes.
delayed.
We can right now, but if we mute it again.
Hear me? Hear you fine.
Okay.
I'm just a little, I'm a little delayed.
Can right now, but if we mute it again.
Hear me?
This meeting will take twice as long as it's got.
All right, let's go ahead and move forward. The first on the agenda is community service, LCTV. LCTV, you're up.
Thank
All right,
you.
Let's go ahead and move forward.
That's what you're gonna have, that delay. Do you wanna mute it and shut it off, or do you wanna,
As long as she can still hear me.
well, she can't hear it if you mute it, because it's taking it,
Oh,
well, maybe Max should fix it. Done, okay.
Thank you, man. Wait, no, why is she off?
So,
Because you muted it down there, I think.
so.
No, I closed the Zoom, I closed the YouTube thing, but I didn't close Zoom.
Don't know.
So is Julie still there?
I don't see her. Let's try to redirect. Okay. Disable the waiting.
over my head.
Okay, we ready, Jen?
Please.
I'm Larry Seidlinger, Executive Director of LCTV. With me is my Marketing Director, Miss Claire Summers. Rather than sit up here and talk to you about what we've done, I thought we would put together, which Claire is so ably done, a little packet of what the last 3 years of LCTV has been and how it continues to grow. Along with growth comes budgets that increase. And so we put it all on paper for people to look at and see the analytics and the numbers. We've had a tremendous run here for the last 3 years. Hopefully, we're out of COVID. One would hope. We've won, I don't know if it says in here or not, I haven't finished reading all of it. Yes, it does. The awards we've won, you can see that. We've won everything from the Paul Harris Award for the Rotary to the YMCA to the Chamber of Commerce Awards, and recognitions have been come through. We've done a lot of high school sports and we'll continue to do a lot of high school sports. Last year, we did over 400 original shows, over 175 selectmen's meetings, public meetings, 125 plus YouTube live streams. And we continue to build on that this year. We've increased our towns that have meetings like this from 3 years ago. We did 3. Now I think we do everybody except South Bristol, which is just new to the fold of LCTV. They used to be on the Booth Bay network. They are now on the LCTV network as of like November. And they're talking to us about maybe doing something for them down there. So these public meetings have obviously been popular with the viewing public. And we hope to continue that. LCTV is asking for an increase in their sponsorship out of their franchise fees. I think that's in their request in this packet. It's not. Oh, okay. We asked for a $5,000 increase from last year. I think that's what it was it clear? And I think that would be pretty self-explanatory in here, but I am open to questions. I can tell you last year, our most popular show was Racing at Wiscasset that went 25 Saturdays all summer long. Our second most popular show was high school basketball, where we had over 40,000 views this winter, which was 10,000 more than last year. So, and that's with people coming to the gym. So it does build on programs at the local schools. We've done graduations and we've done concerts and we've done tuna tournaments. And this summer we probably will do a parade and Waldeboro Days is along with the Damascotta Days. So we've got some exciting things coming up this summer and next fall. We are planning to do home and away Madomic Valley football. That's almost a done deal. We haven't got it quite inked up yet, but we're working on it. And we are right now in the process of doing, for all you stock car races, a Hall of Fame show with drivers that drove in the 60s and 70s and 80s here in Maine. And we've already got 2 of them in the can, and they're really fun shows. And I think people will enjoy them. But that's just that's kind of a wide scope of what LCTV is doing. We are probably the only public access station, I was just told the other day, that's doing broadcast, the production work that we're doing. We're very proud of that scenario, and we've got a great staff. We've assembled a tremendous staff of people that are willing to work below industry standard wages, unfortunately for them, but fortunate for us. But we continue to grow, and the future, I hope, looks bright. All a fundraising thing. Money makes the world go round. So open for questions. Mr. Maxwell, I have one for you too.
Well, first of all, Larry, I want to say I've beaten you up ever since you took over,
You have.
but you've brought LCTV right to the front.
Thank you, Bill.
I want to state that. But do you have a breakdown of what the other Lincoln County towns contributed?
can.
You used to give us that.
I can tell you, I can't tell you to the exact dollar bill, but I can come pretty close. In 2022, Damascotta was 17,500, Bristol was 15,000, Newcastle was 13,500, I believe. Alna was 1,500, Noblesboro was 3,900, Bremen was 1,000, Edgecombe was 250 or 500, I can't remember which, and Wiscasset was 0.
Okay, so Wiscasset's the only one that's 0 now? I
They're in
mean,
my sights, Bill.
I remember a few years ago, you had a few zeros.
I did, but we're slowly developing an audience that appreciates and the communication that LCTV can bring to the county. When COVID struck, I think COVID was as bad as it was for our country. For LCTV, is probably one of the best things going, because when the hospital called us on that cold, miserable day in March, and we went down, myself and Dave, and I'd never done an interview with anybody in my life, and we scratched out what I thought was 7 or 8 good questions. An emergency room, I had a medical down there, came out of the emergency room with just, unbeknownst to me, I found out later, just saved the guy's life. And we did that 10-minute interview about what, nobody knew what COVID was. Nobody knew what COVID was and where it was going. And I mean, I don't think the government knew, but the doctors told what they thought was happening. And in less than 24 hours, we had almost 3,000 views on a YouTube page and a Vimeo page. And we just put it on social media, on Facebook, that we're doing an interview at the hospital about COVID. And we had no idea, but we went on to do 60 of those 7, 8, 9-minute interviews with everybody from the head of Maine Medical to everybody at Lincoln Health, Miles Morrell, down at the Miles campus. And to this day, we still are. We just did a nice show down at Lincoln Health about their new physical therapy building they've opened up, which will be shown tomorrow night. Yes. And that's a great show. So they saw the power of local media really quick, and those shows continue to attract large numbers of viewers. People want to know what's going on. So I will tell you, it was grip it and rip it, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I was going to do something. So before I get Bob, Bill, what are we going to do with the Historical Society? You can talk to me off camera.
Yeah, we
All
got.
right. You got a plan?
We got a plan for
Okay.
you.
Good. Okay, I got to put him on the hot seat too, Bob. Bob, go ahead.
Your payroll has looks like 7 people on it.
6 that we just lost.
I got Tyler, Dave, Jeff, Claire, Larry, yourself, and Lang.
Lang is left.
And then you've got a programmer in there for some.
Part-time,
certain
yes.
amount.
Yep.
Can you tell us briefly what each of those people does and how their responsibilities tie in?
Yeah, I can. Dave is a senior member of the group. He's retired public access. For 40 years, he worked down in Fitchburg, Mass. And he comes in every day and he just basically does editing, runs the studio as far as shooting in studio, as you saw when you was over there, Bob. He will do some editing, valuable information for a truck driver trying to run a TV station. Tyler Davis, a young man that came to us part-time 3 years ago. In the past 3 years, he's graduated top of his class from college, 3.97 GPA, and has worked his way up. So he basically can do everything in that TV station that needs to be done. He's only 24 years old. And if that wasn't enough, he got married in the meantime. So Claire is our marketing social media guru. She puts out the newsletter every week, even though she's signs my name to it. That newsletter reaches upwards of 1,000 people every Tuesday afternoon. It is also shared with all the Chamber of Commerce's in the area, Damascotta, Booth Bay, and Wiscasset, which those numbers go up into the many, many, many thousands of people that can see that. Her husband, Jeff, is a very part-time. He was the tech guy that came to me when we first started and rebuilt the whole system that was antiquated and 30 years old. Who have I left out?
Lang.
Lang's not with us anymore. He was a videographer and did sales and marketing, did sales more than marketing, but sales, and it was a videographer, and he just left a few weeks ago for greener pastures.
That has a huge impact on your proposed budget.
It does.
How do you either rationalize it or?
Well, I don't know if I can rationalize it, Bob. We're working to overcome it. I'm not a salesman by any means, but I'm doing some, Claire is doing some. We have another part-time guy that came to us that understands video. Video, to sell video, you need to understand video. And he's working on it, and we're just really gearing up for it as I speak.
So when you say he sold video, he's
Video sponsorships,
marketing your.
marketing, video sponsorships. Yeah, yeah.
You're basically drumming up.
Claire was a big reason we went from no sponsorship in 2020 to 150 different businesses that sponsored us last year.
That's impressive.
He was great work. We were sad to lose him. Who else have I got on there? Anybody? I got them all.
You had a programmer in there slotted in as a.
Yeah, we've hired a young man that comes in very part-time, 15 hours a week right now to help with the programming, and that's more scheduling.
Which is actually,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's not just as simple as saying, okay, we're gonna do this show on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. There's actually an entire computer interface where all the shows have to be scheduled. Feeds are coming in from like shows that we come in, like Classic Arts Showcase, which is a show that we get over satellite. So the scheduling is actually a pretty technical job. And we're just really, really happy to have Haven in for a couple hours a week, because it's taking that load off of Tyler, and it also builds our bench strength a little bit. So it's more than it sounds, just by way of explanation.
Thank you.
One of the things I didn't mention is that we are partnering with other public access stations. We partner like South Portland, excuse me, was really, because they had Beach Ridge Raceway down there that closed in Scarborough. And so they were really excited last year, and they took all our race shows and showed it on their channels down there. WHOU up in Holton wants all our sports programming and is looking into their budget about how much they could pay to take those basketball games, those football games, those baseball games, and play on their market up there. Harpswell is taking some shows. We make it available to anybody who wants it, wants our programming, and what we're doing. And Booth Bay has open door anytime they want it. You know, they can take it.
And I know you're working with the 250th anniversary committee here in Waldeboro.
That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me. Yep. Between the two of them, Damascotta and Waldeboro, we're gonna be birthdayed out this year, I'm pretty sure.
But Waldeboro came to us first.
They did. That's right.
Do you plan on filling Lang's position?
Is that why you still got it in the budget?
We do. We do. We raised $60,000 in 6 months with sponsorships, with somebody just doing it day in, day out, working I mean, that was his job. And he did a great job. He was very, very good at it. And we was sorry to see him go, but people move on. What it did do, Ab, is it proved that the business community will support local TV. And some of it was sports, but a lot of it wasn't. I mean, the tuna tournament in Booth Bay was a big revenue generator. The Windjammer Days in Booth Bay was big. The Schooner Fest that we did in Wiscasset was really popular. The Pumpkin Fest. I mean, it just goes on. They support local programming, and the high school sports for both Lincoln Academy and Madomic were really big.
No, I'm just curious if you was actively looking for somebody to fill the position.
We are.
Got anybody in mind?
Yeah. Anybody else got anything that I can enlighten them with? If I can't, Jan can.
Well, I have worked, not worked, but been associated with them for a couple of years. And they've almost got a brand new board on board now,
Good
and
point.
really quality people.
Good point, Jan. We've basically rebuilt the board from when I was here 3 years. We only have well, I'm not on the board anymore, so I was president of the board. We rewrote our bylaws in 2022 because we didn't want an executive director to be president of the board. That didn't make sense, and most nonprofits are like that. And so Jane Gravel, Oliver Gravel from Damascotta agreed to step in until January 1st, and Seth Hager is going to take it over January 1st from Hager Enterprises. So, but we have rebuilt the board. And I'll tell you about our board. We have Marvin Nesbitt, who's a retired, she taught leadership at the Pentagon, 25 years. We have Wendy Collette, who is the CFO at Lincoln Academy. We have Holly Margaritas, who is the human resources officer at RH Rennie's. Jane Oliver Gravel, retired business lady in Damascotta. Laura Decker, who is she ran the Parks and Recreations for Bristol and now works grant writer for CEI, who has got 3 grants for us right now. Seth Hager, who's vice president of Hager Enterprises. And Scott Schott, who just retired from Lincoln Health as the director of development. So we've got, I'm really excited about, and they're engaged and they're working, and of course, Jan, we have the colonel. We have an engaged board, worker bees, and they're all committed to making LCTV, like the staff at LCTV, the best that we can be, the best in Maine. That's the goal. I'm sorry, you had a question, John?
Yeah, I was wondering, with sponsoring programming, do you run commercials or is it
There is, we don't say ads, we say sponsors. Like this show is sponsored by that bottle of water, not that bottle of water is for sale for 99 cents. It's a very, very gray area. But I had a fella in the studio just this week who is one of the founding fathers in public access in gray, Randy Visser, who's been around for 40 years, helped Ivan Fly get the one started in Newcastle, who started LCTV originally. And we were talking about the difference. 40 years ago, advertising was a dirty word, or sponsorship was a dirty word. And now it's the only thing that's going to keep public access going, because there's just not enough public funds or franchise fees to keep the access station going. There are access stations, i.e. South Portland. Those guys are, the people that run that are members of the town employee force. Whereas LCTV is not, doesn't have, we're a nonprofit in ourselves. Booth Bay's a nonprofit, Rockland's a nonprofit. So there are some public access stations that are town employees, and that's a different deal than what we're doing.
So you have underwriters, basically.
We need underwriters. Yes, we absolutely need underwriters. And it becomes a full-time job too. And our budget this year is going to be 40 or $50,000, and it was 230 last year, and we finished in the black last year, so. We keep our fingers crossed, Bob. Anybody else have anything that I can help enlighten them on?
Okay.
Good job over there, Larry.
I love them YouTube basketball games. I think I watched every between Lincoln and the Dodgers. I was looking back and forth watching them both.
Did you ever get the trivia question from Lincoln?
I called a couple times.
We're gonna do that at Madomic, so I want all your trivia questions for Madomic. As a Madomic grad, I know you've got some,
I knew the Lincoln was.
so.
Julie, did you have anything from your perspective?
I think there's a large delay, a long delay.
Oh, okay. It's a long way down there.
Yeah. it's just right away.
Okay. Well, I just didn't want her to think we're forgetting about her. We're sure not doing that.
She knows where I am. She's
Yeah.
got questions.
Right. Okay, Larry, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having-
Anybody else need a copy of this that doesn't have a copy?
Look forward to it, yeah, fun. I'm excited about it.
Okay, next is the Social Services Waldeboro Food Pantry, Mr. Blodgett. I understand you're working with them this year. Do you have anything that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I didn't think I'd be giving any presentation, but I would answer any questions that you might have. The food pantry has gotten busier as it has in every area of the state, probably the nation, because we've almost doubled the number of people that come in and the families that they serve. If you ever see a number, you can double it. That number as to the number of families that are receiving food. And now it's about 375 people, not families, people.
It's not just Waldeboro, correct?
It's mostly Waldeboro. We also have some from Bremen, a few from Bremen, and a few from Noblesboro.
Do you receive anything from either town or funds or anything?
Bremen has money in their budget, an article, and that we have received money. And Noblesboro is a new client, if you want to refer to that. And I'm going to talk with the folks there, the Board of Selectmen. Yes.
Yes, the $16,000, this is a new item from what I can see. Is this for actual foodstuffs or is this for paying for a position? Paying
We don't pay
salaries?
any, everyone is a
Oh, this is
volunteer.
all volunteers, so this would
Everyone's a
be to
volunteer.
acquire foodstuff.
So this is just for food, and because of course, the food prices have, as you know, when you go to the store, has gone up some. But we also have many, we have more than double the number of people who are coming in and making requests. That's what's behind all of this, is because of the increase in the requests.
Understood. I just wanted to know what it was for.
No, everyone is a volunteer.
And if I'm correct, we really don't have a say on that because they did a warrant, they did a petition.
Okay,
So it's gonna be on the.
it's going to be on the
It's gonna
ballot.
be on the ballot
I see.
regardless, we have no
Okay.
say over it.
Gotcha. How big is your budget?
I beg your pardon?
How big is your overall budget at this point?
Well, I can tell you, we spend about $4,000 a month on food. And then, of course, we have we have some expense with the we put into the building. And also with the van. And that's basically what our expenses are. And as I said, I can't tell you what but I do know the food runs around 4.
On a typical day when you're delivering food to people, how many volunteers are working?
Oh, we have 3, probably, maybe, 10, now don't hold me strictly to this, but around 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And they go, the Tuesday is the distribution day, but people go in on Monday to help put this thing together. And they're also on, usually on Thursday or Friday, someone in the van or a couple of people in the van will be going to pick up food and do that sort of thing. So we have the heavy lifting is on Tuesday, but there is work to be done on Monday by volunteers and also on the couple of other days for food pickups.
You've grown dramatically from when it used to all run out of Lou's car.
Well, I can remember that of going the one car at my pickup going down to Auburn.
Right.
And picking up food on a regular basis.
Yep.
And now it would be 5 pickup loads
Right.
or more.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yes.
Do you accept donations of fresh foods, vegetables and such?
Yes, we do get some, and people do bring in some food, and we get some of the farms. I think they have arrangement with the Department of Agriculture or some agency, and so we get some food from them.
I wish I had known we had easily 100 pumpkins in our garden last
Well, I'm
year.
not sure we could use quite 100, but Bob?
So could you tell us a little bit about how you qualify folks for getting food at the food pantry?
Well, they fill out a form and they have to be, I forgive me if I can't remember the exact figure, but it's below the,
Let's see.
it has a poverty level that they have to qualify in that way.
Thank you.
That is, and that's not very specific, but,
Yeah, it's not very much money.
and we limit it to these 3 towns. Someone asked me the other day if can anyone come in from any town? And the answer is no, you can't do that.
Thank you.
Is the set amount per person?
No, size of the family, because we know we have, for example, most of the families are 1 and 2. But they go up to, we've had 10 in a family. And they get a couple of extra bags. Most people will get at 1 bag, one person will probably get 1 bag. But then more than that will get 2 bags, and some will be getting more, like that 10-member family will get more than that.
They get what they get. They don't pick and choose what they want.
That's right. No, we
No,
distribute
there's no
so much stuff. We don't, it isn't go in and pick off the shelf. Which is done in some places.
Yeah, right.
Where does your other funding come from?
Requests go out, and people volunteer the money and they send in money, and then there's a fundraiser letter to go to raise money. That's what raised the money for the van. None of the other money was used except for that which was specifically requested for the van. And that's made a big difference in the whole operation, because we also take food to some places. We don't go from door to door, but we like the Sproul block and up to the Main Street, the apartments. But some people will send in $100 or $500 on a regular basis. But that used to be enough, but because of the number of people coming in now, it just is not enough. Anything else? Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate the support of the town for this.
Thank you, sir. Okay, then we'll move on to the select board, 3.3, page 1.
Can you hear me?
We can.
I can hear you now.
Okay, going old school.
So as a point of procedure here, do we want to start voting on items at this point as we go through them?
I didn't think we were gonna do that till the very end.
Well, I thought we were gonna go through the 5 major categories, 5 major departments. Before we did that, before we started voting, but I don't know, how do people feel? Would it be advantageous to run through everything and then go through everything again, or how?
I understood that.
Was to go through the entire budget before you started making decisions on where to cut. That was my intent the first evening.
That's the
That
plan.
makes sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, cool with that.
I know it's significantly different than what we've done in the past, but I've never introduced a 23% increase in a budget.
Right.
Well, just as a point, we could revisit items that we've already voted on and rediscuss and re-vote on them. We have done that in the past, if there were specific things. I just wonder if it's efficient to run through all of the office of the select board. Frankly, I don't think we're gonna save a lot of money there.
And also, I think if you're going to request all these departments to make cuts, that then maybe the people making the cuts might want to also be cut. I just think if you're going to ask every department to make a cut, and this is where we're at. I'm sorry, I totally disagree with that. I think you have to look at every line item. And to quote, budget committee member Bill Maxwell, nickels and pennies make dollars. Could be wrong on that total quote, but
Correct, Julie.
Okay, well, I can live with that.
this is different, but, you know, I mean, I think if it's a time issue, there's a lot of time that's been spent on things that maybe we could have moved on about, so I just don't wanna, I just think this really deserves time and thought.
Okay. Well, let us carry on then.
I just had a suggestion before you go to select board, since we heard a little bit about LCTV, which is part of community services, and a little bit about the food pantry, part of the social services. I thought we might back up a little bit, look at those 2 pages and then proceed.
What page number?
44.
I agree with that suggestion.
Great idea.
We'll look at the rest of them. It's on the page.
So we're on page 44.
44.
Find it.
Do we want to discuss the Lincoln County TV anymore, or thoughts on that, or while we're
I have a question.
freshening up mind?
Abden actually had it. I'm stealing his question. But it says 5,000 in the script, but when you total up, it's actually 6.
Right.
So which is it?
Well, I think the budget item that is in this packet was 9,700 and something. I don't remember where I saw that, but
In the back, what we received from LCPD, he was requesting 15,000, but erroneously put 9,000 and change as where he thought we were, but we were at 9,000 this year.
it's 9,000 even.
Yeah.
But your request is 15.
But the
Yeah,
ask,
but he
the
thought it was
ask
at
was,
97 or something.
the ask was for 15. I mean, that's the number we need to focus on.
Correct.
How does that work with the franchise? Real quick.
You get 32,000.
We did all or nothing.
In what way? How does it work?
We get it, we get it.
Yep, usually January, February. There's a formula that I'm not like 100% familiar with to talk about it. But like this current year, we got 32,000 in franchise fees.
Okay. So
So it's part of the general fund budget. It goes into the select board account.
okay,
And then we can distribute it how we feel.
so in sense, that would all come out of the franchise. Could come out of the franchise.
I think there's a theory around that. Yep.
And if you look at, when I asked about Wiscasset, they get the same thing. They get
They
a
get
franchise
franchise
fee
fees,
and they
but they
get
don't,
nothing.
some people want to use it for broadband or it's an interesting thing to debate what you could use it for.
So theoretically, that just all goes to general funds, so. I mean, if we did fund it all, the full 15,000, it's really not gonna affect the budget. In reality, we just gotta allocate it.
Well, I think historically
Because-
we just know we're gonna get 32,000.
But it's
That's
not
what it
affecting
is.
our, it's not taking money away from something else.
Yeah.
To fund it,
Right. It's part of the revenue.
right, it's a revenue.
Julie's probably want to say something.
Part of it, total revenue.
Julie, go ahead.
So we take that money in, and historically, we've taken that in and we give a portion back to LCTV.
Right.
So if you're giving more to LCTV, then you are taking away other revenue from other resources.
So we do allocate the remaining balance somewhere else in the budget.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, I see. That's why I was wondering if it just went into the general fund and just sat there, you know?
no, it just doesn't sit there. It supports the rest of the budget functions.
Okay.
And
The one possibility is if they wanted a $5,000 increase, we could budget at 14,000 instead of 15. Or we can give them a less of a increase. Billy?
This is one of the things, 23% budget where you can go through some of these. Couple of these agencies anyways, and they'll give them an increase from the previous year, but
Not the whole.
not the whole amount that they request. And an example, I would say LCTV. I gave them 7, we gave them 9. So I would say this year we give them 11. Give them a couple $1,000s more. It's not their full amount they request.
It's a 23% increase. $1,000.
Yeah. There you go. Take off that 70, round down, but.
Yeah.
So that's just my train of thought.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is at least a couple thousand, maybe.
Yeah, just go based
I
on
was
what
gonna-
we've
I
done
was
in the
gonna
past.
recommend half, but
Oh.
if 11,000.
I mean, this isn't a necessity. These things here. I think in everybody's views are not necessities. Like police, EMS, fire, road crews. So if you gotta cut something, you cut a little bit here.
It's not really cutting, you're still adding to it, you're just not giving them.
No, you're not
their
giving, them- right, you're
100%
not
funding.
giving them their full amount, and if you can shave some off some, you shave it off. But that's just my editorial.
I agree with you. It is pretty impressive, the growth in the
Oh, definitely.
organization, what their programming is, and a lot of people like it, so.
No, I agree. I mean, most of you have been here for the 3 terms I've done, and I've beat up on Larry, but
He's brought it around.
he really has. But that's just my suggestion when it comes to LCTV.
Or we just keep it at 9,000,
Well, yeah, you can do that too.
because
Start
they
talking.
if they can't fill a position and there's $40,000 in that position. They may not fill that this year. They're gonna be up 40,000 anyway. From their expected operating costs. So,
Well, except that guy's not bringing in any money,
correct. But they
which
gotta,
is, which is his job.
right, yeah. They'll
I
have to
was just gonna
definitely,
say, well, so Marcus is here to talk about Waldeboro Day. And so that's on the page, just might want to think about that too. I think that they're a little hurting. You want to have something for June 2024.
Is there any other comments on the LCTV for now?
I'm just wondering if the colonel could give us his own personal views on this one, since you do sit on the board and have a feel for.
Well, I like Bill's idea of, 11. It's a little increase, but it is an increase. And they do work their tails off, and I'll tell you, just between you, me, and the fence post, they're razor thin. If they lose one person over there, one more person, they'd be in a world of hurt because they couldn't edit what they shoot or get in. Because this Dave, he's older than I am, and he's really good. But if they would, for example, lose him for any reason, illness or anything, boy, they'd be hurting. And so it's important, I think, that, you keep them up and do your best with what we got. Sure.
I agree. We're in an inflationary period, level funding is actually a 10% increase.
Hmm.
So this is almost a slap in the face to level fund.
I could go into more detail about Lang that left, but it's not appropriate right here with an open mic. So we won't. We won't.
So if we apply the same principle to the Waldo, which are asking for $3,500 more than they did last year.
They could not make tonight's meeting, but they are willing to come next Thursday if you would like to talk to them.
No, thank you. That was Bill Maxwell. by the way.
All here.
I was thinking the same thing, Bob, using Bill's patterning. I always love a good pattern, that bringing that to 8,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Continue the same pattern that we've done.
Yep. And looked at it another way, we've cut 6,000 off the bottom line already.
They're all decided the same.
Well, let's get my hand up.
1,000, yeah.
Yeah.
I can speak on 90-92, but I can't officially speak for the board because it was gonna be brought, I was gonna bring it up. At our meeting on Sunday, that if there needs to be cut, we would be able to just stay with the normal 5 if we take back our $1,000 request.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what you said. I mean, we've got the 250th anniversary coming up, and we're doing fairly well money wise. And if we're careful about how we spend it, we're gonna have some money to give the Historical Society. Hopefully a bit more than that $1,000. So I'd say, let's focus on the 250th and raise your money that way and get you more. If that's amenable to you guys.
Yeah. No, I was gonna bring it up to the board on Sunday that if. Don't get, if everybody on the board is okay with just accepting the normal 5,000.
Yep.
that we've gotten in the past.
So that's your recommendation?
That's just my personally, I can't speak for the entire.
I was gonna say, I didn't know how much was gonna be involved with the Historical Society as far as what it's gonna cost them to help with the 250th. But if the 250th committee is gonna be set,
The overall goal of the 250th committee, after everything was said and done, bills was paid and everything. That money was earmarked to go to the Historical
Okay.
Society.
Yep.
For a future expansion project.
I would just say if you're going to consider giving money and you like the patterns, it shouldn't be based on a dollar amount. You might want to look at it as a percentage instead.
what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing, Julio.
Okay,
Banker Bob's got his calculator out.
So you wanna make that a 0 potentially?
Potentially, right. I'll know after I speak with the board on Sunday. Seth probably gonna throw something at me. He's on that board.
0 increase, not
Sorry.
0.
Abby, when you say make it a 0, you.
Zero
mean
increase.
Leave it at
He
5,000.
would be the 5,000.
percent.
Yep.
Just because of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
explanation of
That
it.
up in.
Yep.
So the only increases were the Waldo, the Waldo and. LCTV,
Well, yeah, well, no, you get Waldeboro Day Committee
Waldeboro Day.
is up 500, but. And that's for 2024, so you won't have
That's
the
not-
250th, so.
Yeah.
To fall back on, so.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with increasing that 500.
No, the other.
Doesn't include the cost of fireworks. Marcus could probably speak to that, but I don't know if the computer is working properly.
I'm here if you can hear me.
Who usually raises the fireworks money?
It
So,
really isn't unusual over the past 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So, but Marcus was trying to help fill in the gaps.
can you hear me?
The way I understand it is, there's a committee, the Waldeboro Day Committee. And they would go out and fundraise and try and get some funds, to at least cover the expenses. It's not as involved as what we're doing right now. 250th. That's essentially, and that's just more of a starting point for them. Fireworks gonna cost them $1,700-1,800 if you even think about it. Well, Marcus is on now.
Well, actually,
Can you-
I'm talking to him right now. He can't.
Can you hear me?
I can't.
Yeah. That's gonna be a good sign.
Marcus?
Maybe double muted on his end, yeah.
Tell him to get a block of paper and just write.
Big, real big. I'm telling him to text me.
No way he could talk.
We can speak for him. It'll be kind of.
It doesn't look like.
We are not technologically hooked up
Correctly.
correctly on my
There you go.
talk to people.
Well, when we had it on, it was causing that repeat delay
Right.
stuff. Marcus is calling me.
And I can't fix it.
I don't know. I mean, if they got 2,000 to work with, it's the starting point. If they do a little bit of fundraising.
Can everybody hear him?
Yeah.
Shut up.
So I can't.
How much is in the budget right now?
1,500.
This year is 1,500. The projection for next year is 2,000.
2,000, okay. So in the past, we've had a committee that works on Waldeboro Day. They raise money and that helps pay for the fireworks. Last Waldeboro Day, the committee dwindled to me and 1.5 to 2 other volunteers. We basically used up what money was left in the account. We gave what was given to the Waldeboro Day this year to the 250th, because that's basically Waldeboro Day this year. So our account is down to like $400. So with the 2,000, that would get us up to like 2,400. And the base package for fireworks is 3,800. So if the 250th committee sticks around to become a Waldeboro Day committee, we can raise money, it's no problem.
I'll do that.
And me and maybe one helper. We really don't have the personnel to raise the money. And so there might be with only 2,400 and we wouldn't be able to have fireworks in 2024. So I know other towns in the area, they don't budget for the day, they just budget for the fireworks. So like, the article on would say, do you want to get this much to Walter a day, would say, do you want to fund the fireworks for that day at this price? So it's just another way we can go. I know we're looking at cuts, so this is not something, maybe it's something you don't want to do. I just wanted you to be aware that if we don't fully fund the fireworks, they may not happen in 2024. If we don't get a committee, we might be able to raise the money, but I don't know how many of the 250th want to stick around or if people want to help. Because it's a big undertaking this year, but that's where we were at this year.
There might be some people on that committee not being.
That's the way I've been selling the
There-
250. It's gonna be Walter Day on steroids, hoping some of the people that are involved, not will actually enjoy it. We'll be able to gather some more volunteers for next year.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a sign up booth on the 250,
This
of
is
course.
to recruit.
Yeah.
Committee for next year.
Exactly.
So is there a lack of participation for the Waldeboro Day Committee because of this year, because of the
No.
250th?
No,
Or
no,
has
the
it
last
been-
couple of years
has
has
been dwindling?
been dwindling. Hopefully, this will rejuvenate the participation for Waldo Day.
Mhm.
Which we've got a lot of input, good, as you know, we have a lot of good input from people this year, so hopefully they'll carry that on to next year.
Funding sources, there's already a list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll have a plan for it. Well, someone will have a plan for it, I should say.
I think it'll be easier.
Yeah.
For a committee next year, since we have a lot of the information, a lot of people, the banks and so on who are willing to work.
Template will be there.
Yes, yeah. So I think it'll be much easier to get a committee, and there are young people out there who can do it.
I'll need some consultants, maybe, John.
Right, and yeah, right.
Well, as of right now, there's 21 on the committee. Well, 20 and a honorable mention. We put him on as an honorable mention. He took some photos for us, so I had to make him an honorary member.
There you go.
But there's 20 names on that list that they could get.
So if they started with 2,000, that's something to start with
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
next year.
We're not starting in a dry pit.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I have no problem with
And
that.
the businesses, I think, are pepped up also. I think that will help. the committee.
So leave that the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7,000 out of that budget.
Yep.
While we're on this page, does anyone have any questions about the library budget?
They haven't moved.
They don't move.
They've been flat funded for a while. They went down.
During COVID.
During COVID. They were at 78. And then they went. I forget the exact numbers then. And then, but anyways, they have managed to keep going. There have been a couple of one-time things that helped their budget, but Pat said that next year they're probably gonna have to ask for an increase.
Why did they go down?
Everything got cut. We did COVID.
It's got $500,000 out of the budget 2 years ago.
And with grant money and I don't know the details, so I don't want to
Yes.
speak, but Bob, you probably have a grip on it.
Yeah, we
They made it work.
with everybody else because of COVID.
Yeah, they made
And
it
we
work.
just really worked hard to raise money. So, and we're continuing to do so, you know?
They probably haven't given you an idea of what the increase could potentially be next year.
No. several $1,000s. I don't. But it has been flat funded for quite a while. Any other line items we should discuss? Are there any?
What is the, I'm just curious, $604. That's an odd number.
Is that a license for the registration of snowmobiles?
That's,
Yeah.
okay,
That's what we bring in.
Yeah. okay. They do a lot of good work and they don't ask for much. Those snow crawlers.
I think it's based on a formula, Jan.
Yeah, they just explained that. I was just curious, weird number.
We get up and start walking, we gotta watch out.
So we done?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
now to the select. Select board. There's one. Oh, social service, page 40. Thank you, Peg.
Sure.
Page 40.
Page 40.
So no changes for healthy kids.
They are thankful every year for what we give them. They provide the summer lunch program, Lucy, the lunch wagon for the children of Waldeboro.
Now, just for giggles, everything else has gone up. Now, I can't imagine the kids' health food hasn't gone up. Have they seen an increase in food prices?
I'm sure they have.
Patrick wants to increase it. He always increases things for kids. Watch that.
Dan's
He
right.
wants to. He does want to.
I mean,
Well, we all do. Well, we all want.
Julie,
Yes,
can you,
I'm here.
can you talk about Spectrum Generations? That was never hasn't been funded for how long?
That has not been funded since, I think, 2017.
What is it?
Yeah, what is that for, Julie?
The old.
I think it's in, wasn't that included in the back of your packet?
It is, yeah.
Get
Quite a
healthy
lot of
kids
things for
back
the elderly.
there.
Well,
for
good.
Seniors.
Right after the lime green paper.
It's a senior organization. I believe.
I'm partially colorblind, so.
They do the Meals on Wheels?
yep, they do.
Yep, so it's that next page. It's a lot of-
Is there anything that the community navigator does to help this group?
I don't know how connected she is with Spectrum Generations, but I can find out.
I want to know if the community navigator does anything with this group.
Well, I think she can refer older people to, they have a lot of activities and sometimes the Meals on Wheels and that sort of thing.
3,300 minutes. Wow.
They do.
It's a lot.
They provide other social things for older people to get out and see other people. So, yeah.
Since we haven't funded this since 2016, where's the money been coming from to do those?
That's right.
Good point.
Real question is, why haven't we funded it since
I
2000?
don't think they put in requests.
Oh, really?
We haven't funded anything that nobody that hasn't put in requests, we haven't funded the last several years. Unless they put in a request, we haven't funded it.
Maybe they just finally realized.
There's gotta be some overlap here between the food pantry and
And that's,
Spectrum
that's
Generation
another thing I was thinking about.
and the Healthy Kids as well, because we feed a lot of kids with the program of the food pantry. I don't know how.
Well, I
much-
think the healthy kids, though, that's part of the school.
But in the summertime,
They are the ones who are the ones with the lunch wagon that travel to all of the.
In the summertime,
trailer parks
in the
town.
summertime. So that's completely separate than the food pantry.
It's separate from the school. It's 5 days a week.
Okay.
they're Providing lunches.
Okay.
That's what Healthy Lincoln does.
It's like the ice cream truck, except it's lunch. Goes around.
right,
Where we have funded it.
They go to all the low income housing and the trailer parks and provide lunches
So what's 23%?
for school age children.
What's 23% of 3230, Bob?
no. If I could open my phone.
25% is
$7,712.
Okay. You want to go on with this?
Yep.
Take 700 out of the Spectrum and put it into the kids,
Well, Spectrum.
because Spectrum hasn't been, we haven't funded them for.
So put down
Ever.
4,000
And if they're getting 4,000, it's more than what they've gotten in the last 7 years,
and then give the
8
kids
years.
39,
Yep.
30.
39.30, right?
I mean, they haven't asked for anything for quite a while.
Seems like a really good program.
Yep, it is.
They're both are good.
Yes, they are, but
One end of the
Spectrum
line to
hasn't
the
asked for
other end
money.
of the line, yeah,
put in a request, so, I mean, we're still giving them 4,000.
yeah, no, I know, I understand.
Yep, yep.
The young and the
That's
old.
just a recommendation. I don't know what everybody else feels.
I'm in.
Julie, has Spectrum actually asked for more money or, and hasn't gotten in the budget because of, no, it's some of the,
This was the first year that it's been in the book, so that would mean we had not gotten a request prior.
okay. I thought some organizations had been getting money and they didn't get a request in on time or in the right format or something.
Yeah, that-
And that's been happening since 2016, since that's the last time. New request has not been funded since 2016. So I don't think it was a matter of us not funding it. I think it was a matter of them not asking. Like I said, I don't remember them asking prior, and I don't believe they even asked during COVID. But I do know it appeared in older budgets.
I do remember discussing them in the past. But that could have been-
My discussion was they didn't ask for it, so why didn't they ask?
They couldn't request in COVID, but if you'll recall, anybody that received funding during COVID from the federal government and assistance for nonprofits, we did not fund them those years.
They may have been funded by other sources too during that time.
If I could,
We can look back into our 2020 budget book and our 2019 budget book and see if it was requested. But I don't have that at my fingertips. at the
Yeah.
moment.
Okay,
Oh,
But I can get that, we can have that at the next meeting for you guys.
okay, thank you. Mike,
Yes, I'm looking at the bottom of the Spectrum request page. It says Spectrum Generations is the Central Maine Area Agency on Aging and Community with Community and Aging Disability Resource Centers in Belfast, Brunswick, Canvan, Damerscott, Hallowell's, Egan, and not Waterboro, but Waterville. None of the funds apparently is spent in Waldeboro.
no, that,
If you read the letter, though, it says they served 112 families.
yeah, there's the amount that they
112
gave to
residents.
Waldeboro. I think Damerscott is the local, where our local.
Those where their offices are.
Yeah, the offices are in there's an office in Damerscott, it's been there for years. but they service this area.
The next to last paragraph in the letter says that you provide service to 112 residents and deliver a total of 3,300 meals.
Okay.
Yeah, there's isn't there a
Well-
financial amount too?
They've had very
Yeah,
good grant
more
funding and then
specifically, yeah.
that's expired.
Yeah,
Hmm,
Mhm.
right.
So that's why now they're coming to the town.
Mhm.
They didn't provide any, they didn't provide any, financial statement with this. How much is overhead and how much is actual services? If they have all these local offices, are these offices rented? Are they somebody's home?
I don't know. They've been around forever. And they're throughout the state of Maine.
Yeah,
And
I
they
know
cover-
someone-
They cover the entire state, but they have our offices, just like a lot of other organizations, and they have our local offices in Damascus, and they operate out of Waldeboro. People would go there, they would provide the services. And it does say the estimated value of services they gave to us was 31,981.
Yeah.
They used to be up over where,
Subway.
yeah, over Subway, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they provided, they have a lot of, Lincoln County News sometimes have the pictures of they have, games.
Classes, stuff.
They have a lot of different classes. Some are physical, some are mahjong. They taught, that's where they taught mahjong and then groups. You know, we're establishing other communities.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been around forever. I mean, forever, but for a long time.
50 years of delivering excellence, that's what it says.
There you go. I was gonna say before I was ever qualified.
It used to be under a different name.
Hmm?
It used to be under a different name.
Yeah, yes, I think, yeah,
Now we're-
right. Yeah, and then Spectrum came in and got that all confused.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
if you just look at the number of meals, 3,300 meals, and what they're asking is $4,700, that's like $1.50 a meal. to
Right.
Deliver to our residents in their homes. And a lot of those people don't have transportation to go to the food bank and
Mhm.
get a meal, so. And I know that some people, unfortunately, the Meals on Wheels person is the only person that they see in a day. Or for a number of days. So it's a good service. My mother-in-law is getting it down in New Hampshire. And it's a good thing, so. I think supporting it is worthy of consideration.
It mentioned unduplicated client here. That, not someone who's getting services from all different places, but they have some that are unduplicated. I want to hear Abden's suggestion again.
23% of the $3,230 was $712. But I was thinking of taking where they haven't requested any for a long time or received any, at least if they got 4,000. They would be getting something.
So you're
And take 7
suggesting,
off that and put
and-
it into the kids, healthy kids program. They haven't asked for any increase at all.
Mhm.
And because food's gone up in there as well.
Yep.
And $700 really isn't a lot. As far as food, but it's something.
so serving both of them, that sounds good. That sounds reasonable to me.
Great idea.
While this hiatus is going on, Ruben sends his regrets. He's at home sick, but he's listening to all of us, taking notes.
He always does.
Yeah.
Hey, Ruben. Okay, any more discussion on the social service agencies?
You hope for women. Ask for a 20% increase.
It's $314.
They're a good group. I don't see any point nickel and diming them together.
Agree.
I have no problem with it.
There's no price you can put on it.
Food pantry is gonna be on the ballot.
And the
Yeah.
food pantry is gonna be on the ballot.
Right,
so
there's
we're
nothing
just
we can do about
covering-
that. Yeah,
Right.
it just has to be in the budget.
Yeah,
It's
right.
approved.
Adding 700 to the kids. Right? That,
Hypothetically. Food pantry doesn't pass,
That total goes down.
what, that goes down. What happens then to the food pantry?
They go out, raise some money.
They get nothing.
There are things that they will do. We've,
Right.
select boards dealt with
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
We've,
what I was
we've,
going with.
we've dealt with that. If we've, they won't go without anything, but we just have to go a different route.
okay, so this remains the same.
Right.
Okay. Just a little distribution.
we ready to move on?
Yeah, I think we should go to the select board. Check agents.
Go for it.
Go to the select.
You know, when you want me to give you the highlights.
Let's say we avoided it because it's got a $25,000 decrease.
Well, they've been very clever about allocating costs. Of their
Yeah.
equipment.
And I assume that's the reason why.
It is,
Yeah.
it's IT and building.
Yeah.
It's more
Broke it
departmental.
down so the
expense that way.
departments have to pay for it versus.
Okay, Julie's offered to give us an overview.
I think Peg just did it beautifully.
Okay.
It's basically a reallocation of costs for our IT and then in miscellaneous expenses. If you'll recall, that's where we put some money last year for fuel. Oil, diesel and gasoline. So since we put that back now into the budgets of all the departments, we took out that portion of that money. And that would be an area if you wanted to talk about taking more, finding some more money, it might be in that 85, 90.
I was just looking at that. We still only spent 2,900 in 2022 and
Right.
I mean, if we,
Just in mind, if John, when you guys talked to the police chief, you talked about taking his fuel down to 350.
Yeah,
Right.
but I have to jump in just for a second. The actual for 2022, the 2,900, it wasn't that, this is an other, like a miscellaneous catch-all. The 22,000 for our current budget was for fuel. That was a line item for fuel.
yeah,
So that hasn't been that doesn't mean that hasn't been spent or isn't being spent right now. We have to wait until the year kind of gets a little bit closer and I would have to actually do an entry for that. Because now I'm recording expenses in their fuel expenses.
if they've gone over there,
And if
but
I won't know that until the end of the year. So by department, so I just wanted to throw that out.
Yep.
There, I mean, we could just quickly look at the other departments and the fuel lines to see where they're at, but I think it is gonna be, they're
Yep.
never gonna be over. So, but I think what you're saying, Julie, is do we need 10?
right,
Do
that's,
we need an extra 10 this year? We discussed it and put it in there, but for a discussion. Instead
Right,
of 22.
we,
for this
last year, we put it in there, because that was one of the last minute changes to the budget. And if you'll recall, last year, we put it in, and we were like, well, let's just put it in this line item. And that way, if fuel costs continue to rise, we'll have a cushion. This year, in each department's budget, I think we have a more accurate number for fuel, and our heating oil numbers more accurate. But when Chief Lash was in, if you'll recall, he had budgeted for $4 for gasoline. And then one of the suggested cuts was to take that down to $3.50 a gallon. So just bear in mind that this number, if you're going to cut all the departments down on their fuel numbers, then we might want to think about leaving at least $10,000 in there. But if you're not going to cut the department, then there might be a place to cut in that number. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think. With the police department, we only cut like $3,200 out of that. It wasn't a lot. So I think. I was thinking, I don't think we cut the fuel for the public works at all, or EMS. I think that's the only department we cut fuel in.
Yeah. That's what I
So if we put 5,000 instead of 10,000 in there. Then that would more than cover what the chief potentially put in. So if we cut that down,
But my point is,
oh, I know,
you cut it from $4
I get that, yeah,
down to $3.50. And
but he had it at $4 and we cut it down to $3.50, which was $3,200 decrease. So if we leave 5,000 in there, that's gonna cover that.
forward.
Yep.
When if you make those cuts.
Yep.
That's kind of where we're,
Right.
just remember that.
Yeah.
It's just a danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, but the 5,000 will cover the 3,200 we potentially cut out of the police budget. At $4 a gallon.
Well, I know it says fuel on the line item, but I don't think it hurts to have a little bit of cushion to. Look after other emergencies that might come up. Miscellaneous, that's all. And we've already cut the number by 12,000 from 2023. And we've already cut 12,000 out, so. I'm comfortable with leaving it at 10.
Or you could do 7.5. On the middle.
Split the difference, Bob.
Yep, do that.
Split the difference, 7,500.
Yeah. That. See?
Okay, it takes 2,500 out. It's 3,3,810. Town manager next.
Any other comments on the select board?
I am not opposed to either cutting out 10-10 either completely for next year. I don't need a stipend, I volunteered for this job and
Where's that?
that'd be under payroll compensation or business compensation. And
First one on page 1.
Oh, on
Yeah.
page one. Oh, sorry, so still. on
if
page
our residents are facing, they already facing this tax, property taxes and now maybe more. I don't even think that's important, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I agree with you.
What's that?
The way the stipend is like.
Yeah, give away the stipend to the select
For next year.
for 2024.
Not right now.
We'll cut it how much?
Zero.
What do you say?
So.
Throw away the stipend for the select board for
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not doing it for the money.
That barely covers your, drive across the street at. Barely covers your gas to drive across the street.
I know.
It buys,
And also
it buys
the added
copies.
fee,
That's it.
essential services. This
That's
kind of makes up
electric.
the added spectrum and all that. And
Yeah,
this kind of offsets that.
yeah, it really does.
I do have a suggestion that we let it be an individual decision as opposed to
Group.
group decision.
How do you do that when how do you do that?
But it's
for a decision,
not for a person.
You leave it in and then you go in and tell Peg,
And then Peg's
Don't
gonna
cut-
say, I'm sorry,
don't cut
Bob,
me a check.
donate your money to someone else, go right ahead, here's your stipend. Because we had that conversation before, didn't want it, and I said, I can't do that to you and treat somebody else. You're all the same.
Yeah, we know.
Oh,
Then you take it and make a.
I told you to make a donation.
All or nothing, Bob.
well then, vote the way you want to. I'm abstaining on this one. But I support Will. I think he's right.
Well,
Liz
it's
too.
Very nice, Chip.
Yeah, we're adding other places. We gotta cut somewhere.
Although,
Or
if we
or
did,
reduce the stipend?
the stipend is really low compared to other areas. Like, really,
No, it is low, but we just added money, the spectrum and other things.
I know what you're saying,
So
but you're all.
we're
driving
adding
here
to a
and-
budget that's already 20-something% over, so why not at least balance it out?
Oh, yeah, it's-
Well, I think what's
in there is,
what's
in there counting the 23%, what we're doing is trying to lower the point.
Yeah, I know, exactly. If we
been
add
the
somewhere
same
else,
amount
we should reduce somewhere else.
I can't even remember, 6, 7 years. It's been the same amount.
I think the selectmen would the time they put in, I mean, which is. What I understand, it's like $1,100 a year. After taxes, it's like $1,100. You know, I think they ought to be paid something, it's saying to wipe out the ball, I mean. And I, that's commendable, I mean, I get that, but.
It's a thank you. And we want people to run after you guys use your terms up too, so.
Actually, well, there's not really an incentive. Like I said, I'm not doing it for the money.
I don't think any of us are.
Of course, you
No. Well, if we got desperate, we could look at that line.
That's where you wanna go, Val? Well, if we get desperate, then yeah, well, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Well, another way to handle this
I
stuff,
don't know what they're doing.
someone mentioned expenses, gasoline is to offer expense reimbursement mileage or something, mileage per meeting. And that,
Really gonna make.
that would not add in the social security taxes and things like that. It would be a small corresponding, if this is a payment for your travel expenses, I don't know, 55, 60 cents a mile per meeting. It's not much, but if somebody wants to zero it out, I would support getting travel expenses.
That's a good idea.
Who's gonna keep?
And that means we don't have to pay federal tax.
That's right.
Then Peg's gonna keep track of us. My quarter of a mile is gonna take a long time to add up.
Mileage reimbursement for employees. It's just something we've never done for the board before.
Another property somewhere else.
Not that far away.
You would just have to figure out how many miles you might have to travel per year.
Happy to start walking. Let's start walking to the meetings.
I'll pick you up on the way by.
You're freaking running. I get too old to run.
That's about 96 miles a year, I think.
What's that?
96 miles a year.
You do about 96?
Yeah, about 96 miles a year.
Yeah.
Up and back, one trip, about 8 miles. And I do,
But how many times do you come up and
12
be
of
in the
those a year.
office to?
oh, I don't count those. I'm coming up here anyway to check the mail or do something.
To go to Augusta for trainings.
Yeah, if you went to training.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, folks, it's almost 7:30, so. Any other line items to discuss here? Office of the Select Board,
Potentially take 10 grand off that.
shall we move on to the Office of the Town Manager?
Well, I do have a question on the office of select board. The professional services. Just looking at. Looks like year to date, $23,936. Budget is just 65. What exactly is included in the professional services?
That would be most of the time it's legal services.
Okay,
That's property or personnel. Attorney's fees.
okay,
And this year, there was a significant change in that I'm trying to do. We're trying to do a better job. So this year we had, some enforcement issues that are more land use related, so that's coming under code and zoning, professional services, so some of that legal work is showing up there. But the 65, there is some swing in that number. But I would leave that at 6,500.
Yeah, because we went quite a bit over 2022.
Yeah.
So. But
Correct.
we're under on this year's so fast, so that could be a cushion for if we do go over in 23 or 2024.
Right. Step one, because you don't know what you're going to encounter.
Yep, exactly. And we've got some things on the plate that we're battling now, so
Right.
that could potentially cost us to mitigate.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's move on to Office of the Town Manager.
So this increase is basically personnel costs. Some of that is contractual, I will tell you, I know the town manager. And, I would say that door could stay open. With her select board on her contract.
Okay.
I just don't think there's anything unreasonable in the budget for the town manager. I just wouldn't, I wouldn't go there on this one. I just leave it alone.
Yeah, most of it's all this,
There's no fat in there at all.
no, not really. How come we didn't put supplies in 23?
That's what I wanted. That's what I was gonna say.
In 23, in where?
2023, we put 0 in the budget for supplies.
I haven't used any in the last few years. You'll see in 22, I didn't have any.
Yeah, you did. You did, but you didn't use it.
I did, but I didn't use it, so I
Right.
cut that.
And this is what you're doing to.
So you think you will in 24?
If I haven't missed it, I don't think I'm gonna start eating it now.
Well, I'm just thinking if we cut it in half or something. That
What did you want to cut in half?
Supplies.
maybe the supplies in 28, in 22.
Sorry, that went down to supplies. That's just the,
That's just a
those
change.
were-
Flip the
We
page.
used to use 64 now, it just moved down one, I'm sorry.
You see it?
Nope.
It's office supplies and supplies have always been a little bit confusing because some departments only have supplies and some departments
Okay.
have office supplies. So in order to make it easier, we were trying to put everything in supplies, which is 2065 instead of office supplies, which is 2064. So,
Out of
So-
one into the other.
yeah, that's all. It was just a shift.
So it's $2,800.
Correct.
I got
And we leave that.
Okay,
I
so you
got
just moved it from one line item to another. All right,
To make
I
it
got you.
I got you.
Across all of the departments.
And those Gmail accounts now were distributed, were redistributed in the IT. so
I got you.
it-
Okay.
There is a little play in that number too, I would say.
Well, what, how much play?
You can take it down to 1,000.
Is that your
Supplies.
recommendation?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
So instead of 2,800, 1,800?
This is line 20-65.
Not 1,000, I thought you said 2,000.
Down. Did you want us to take it down 1,000 or to 8,000?
Less thousand, I think is what she said.
Less 1,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
I heard.
Okay,
1,800.
so 1,800.
So her budget becomes 158, 114.
58.
So
14?
the travel and meeting expense, there was nothing in the budget. The 24.
I don't think I've ever charged. Other than for the meeting, I don't know that I put in that much travel.
Now, what's the 663 for this year, Peg?
I don't have the detail in front
Is
of
it
me,
maybe-
but there's some times where she's, you've done like a staff. Right, Julie? We had a couple of
Yeah.
staff things for 2023 that went in there because it really didn't fit anywhere else.
Yep.
So,
No, I was just asking because it's not in the next year's
yeah, I
budget. So
know.
so I just, is it necessary to put something in there?
No. What do you think, Julie?
You did put 200 and spent 220 in 22, but
Yeah.
663 in 23 so fast.
And there was no budget for it, so,
That's where I'm going with it.
yeah.
And if we're cutting up here somewhere,
Tighter.
Put it back
Yeah.
down there.
put at least something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, 300 or 400 into it.
Well, what about also looking at the travel and meeting expenses? There's a lot there, not used all that much either. Maybe it's just a reallocation.
Use a lot of it.
Okay.
So,
Use the training,
No issue.
so.
If you want to move, take another 800 from the line above in supplies and move it down to travel and meeting expenses.
Okay, so turn that into 1,000 and add
Yeah.
800 to that.
It all, I mean, again.
I know it washes out,
we
but
overspend these line items because we try to figure out where they best fit, but in the end, it's the number, the bottom number you don't really want to go over.
right.
So it stays at 158, 114.
Yep, it does. We'll just take 800 out
Yep.
of supplies and put it into travel and expenses, travel and meeting expenses. But it stays the same, number stays the same.
Excellent.
Any other discussion on town manager budget?
Assessor.
There, go ahead.
Okay, should we move on to assessment?
So this is our assessment line item. If you'll notice, it went down, almost $5,000. That was due in large part to Daryl's retirement, our assessor's retirement. Retired in place and, hours were, back down to 32.
Was he working more? He was on 4 days a week before, right?
Yes, he was working more prior to his retirement there. Tax assessors or assessing agents are extremely hard to find in Maine.
Really, really good ones.
Well, but in general, yeah, very good ones are, but really, code enforcement officers and tax assessors are two of the most sought after positions in local government in the state of Maine. Meaning there's not a lot of them, the towns fight over them.
I'll let you say that. Now that person's replacement though. Will be a 32-hour-a-week person.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the replacement for that position in the future will be 32 hours a week or?
We'd be lucky if we could find somebody. Most of them are less than that right now out of necessity. Because there's so few, many towns are sharing. So I don't know what that replacement would look like in the future, to be very honest with you.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't have to find out anytime soon.
4.5 more years.
The neighboring town that's contracting out someone to do the
Yeah,
reassess.
a lot of towns are doing that. It's a lot of towns.
Yeah.
I mean, over the years in his career here, he has saved the town a lot of money because he's done things himself and we haven't gone out. And I will say that having experienced the revow that we experienced in the last fiscal year, people were able to come in and speak to somebody. And although not everybody is left happy, they left feeling they were heard. And there was somebody when they wanted to have a conversation, there was a person to have a conversation with.
See a whole lot we can cut in there.
I'd leave the assessor guy alone. We've already cut off. It's $5,000 or roughly 5,000 anyway.
Fine with that.
Yep.
Any other questions on assessing? Comments? How about finance?
Nick, do you want to do this one or do you want me to do it?
Doesn't matter, it's up to, doesn't matter to me. I could talk a little bit about it. The finance department has, two full-time employees, which is myself, the finance director, and the tax collector. I'm scheduled at 40 hours a work week, and the tax collector is at 36. One of us is paying into the pension program, so that's the way that benefits piece works for us. And then the other part of finance and customer service is a lot of the computer programs that we use to help the public do what they need to do for at the counter. The other piece to this for finance is the payroll. The newest and largest increase in this department is the cost of adding a payroll company, and I think Julie talked about that already.
Which frees you up time to do other things that you
Not
need to get.
just me, it's like
Oh.
when we had the COVID cuts, it was very difficult for a lot of us to get all of the things we still need to get done.
Yeah.
So at that time, the supervisors of each department were summarizing their payrolls hours, which was really good. Because they actually could see on one piece of paper what their department looks like for the payroll. So it's gonna be a similar process. They just have to do it in the computer. So each employee would have to enter in their own time or request time off. So there's a lot of interactions between the employee and the program. They can see what their balance is. If they have any time off balances, they'll see it there. So that should free up some supervisor issues as well. I'm just grateful that there's not gonna be more keying in, because that's where errors can occur.
So we've talked for a long time about getting you an assistant.
Mhm.
And we haven't done a damn thing about it.
Yeah, we have, actually. We've hired, I've outsourced work to be done.
Is that, okay,
Yep. So we've had our auditor do some tasks
all right, but
these past couple of years.
I guess where I'm getting with this, if it ever becomes a point where you decide you want to retire, we're not training anybody to do what you do. I mean, we're vulnerable there. If you had an assistant who could at some point work into your position, it would be a seamless transition. And I guess what I'm suggesting is the MMA has an internship program. And you might just snarf somebody who's a college student, who's interested in finance and municipal finance, who want to come and work as an intern. It's subsidized. And you might just charm them into coming here to work as an assistant, and then at some point down the road, become a finance guy person. And I don't know whether that's worth looking at now or later, but I'm just putting it out there.
Thank you, Bob. Does anybody have any other questions?
So is the payroll system, is that in the equipment?
It is.
60/30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we not grow anything in 2022?
I don't know. Maybe we didn't.
What's the question?
We're looking at line 2045.
Postage and mailing service.
Mhm.
It appears we didn't mail anything in 2022. Or unless that was redistributed among different departments, but
Oh, I can look into that one.
9,230 was budgeted in 2022, but only $104.05 was used.
But I'll look into that one, see why.
I believe, Peg, and I could be wrong, but I think that was before an increase went up, so we took what we had in the budget the year before and pre-bought our postage.
Yeah, I think I remember that too, but I'll still check it out.
We were trying to save money.
We did that with sand too.
That's another thing we gotta have on the select board's agenda is trading sand for trading bank gravel for, and that was a $25,000 savings.
Right.
You're
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was a
we
big
gotta
deal.
make sure the select board remembers to do that, because that could affect the budget as well.
Yeah, well.
$25,000 expense.
The postage and mailing costs also, there's also certain things that go into that, like mailers for some of the tax collector things that she has to do with the liens, tax liens and reporting, and it's a little bit more than just the postage machine. It's certified mailers that are bought in advance.
But you feel that there's anything that can be cut out of that at all? Looking at where we are year to date and
And postage,
yes,
I was concerned with the rates going up.
They just went up, I think.
Yeah, that was my only concern. I just tried to look at what the actual cost would be. For my department. I would like to do something. Let's see.
You're still a little over 4,000 under what you projected for 23.
Yeah,
So if we kept it the same
yeah, we can maybe keep it the same and,
as 23s.
yeah.
Do you have any expense? Sorry, I've been good.
No, so that's just the 1735, basically.
Yep, we could just get rid of that and keep it to 930.
Well, do you have end loaded expenses in the year for like the election or?
So that one more time.
Do you have expenses in that line item that get happen in June with the election?
A lot of times there are things like that that are seasonal at certain times of year.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be,
Clerk,
oh, that's town clerk.
The clerk, yes, but there's certain things that our tax collector does in May, you know, like before the new bills, there's certain cyclical things that happen, that haven't happened yet until the end of the year.
So considering that, are you still comfortable with
I
Go
think
back to
we could do that. So
10,000? So what's the number that's proposed?
The same as 2023's 93, 99.
93, yeah.
Can you explain line 4090? You're budgeting less than we've already spent this year. There's some reason for that.
that was because the talk of hiring an outside service, an outside bookkeeper. Now I know what I'm doing, so I know that it's gonna cost a little bit less. For what we're paying. We have fixed asset report help, we have general ledger help, and I know what the costs are now versus last year, like to what Bob was talking about, having help. Hiring help.
What about 2060 Peg?
2060,
Yeah, you only spent 7,000. We budgeted the same the last 3 years,
yeah,
but you've only spent 7,022 and 5,200 this year so far.
yeah.
You think you'll spend about the 7,000 again?
No, I think that's actually a good thing to look at. Those are on an individual basis than what we have to pay at the county for tax liens and discharges, and there's a bunch of different things that go into that. So, yeah, I think that would be something we could consider.
Can we
Um,
take it down a couple thousand down to 9,700,
sure, let's do that.
9770, 720?
Yeah. 9,720.
I'm just looking at it, the pattern here.
Yeah.
If we keep it at 97, that still is 4,500 more than what you've spent so far this year.
Yep.
But just
It's
bear in
again, it's the
mind
same
that
thing.
Some of those filing fees are coming up.
Yep,
Yes.
yep,
that's what I
but
was
that's still
gonna say, but
4,500 more than,
I think we'll be okay
Okay.
with that. I don't have a lot of wiggle room in here,
no,
but I think that I'd be okay with that.
The line item 4010 audit services,
Mhm.
also looking at that. As 8,000's been budgeted for 22 and 23, and 22, 3,000 was used, none in 23 yet. Can you explain a little bit more about the
sure
audit
can.
services?
We're actually pretty behind on getting our audits complete. And so I don't have bills for the work that they've done. And
Oh.
we just got the final. Like, I got a draft audit almost a year ago, and I just got the finalized version of that same audit recently,
Wow.
so.
We have a summary.
They're dragging it.
They're dragging their feet.
Doing the audit.
Yeah, it's a little tougher than some of the other audits I have had to do with.
so there's no wiggle room there.
No, it's an $8,000 bill,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, we're just waiting for it then, basically.
yeah.
No, we've nickel and dimed you to death, but you got a pretty tight budget.
It's okay. No, I'm happy to do what I can.
Your final number? You know, there's
Minus 37, 35. 33, yeah, 37, 35. Gone up 23, so we just down below. Just below 20,000. How much is it, Bob?
I'm just-
19 something.
We say 1735 on a postage. And we've knocked a couple grand off of the recording and processing. Let me get that number. Thanks. So I'm looking at savings, a reduction of 3735. Does that sound right?
Yep.
That's what I have.
Minus 20s.
So the new number I have 236, 896.
6, 8, 96.
Sure, that's right. We wouldn't want our finance committee.
I know, it's really.
You can give the ability to move some money around as well, right?
No, I don't do that.
Never,
Don't like to do that, no. They have their own buckets. We do our best to keep them in there.
Right.
Pull up of this bucket here. Any other comments, questions? On finance? Let's talk about the town clerk now, or the town clerk's budget.
He's not.
The town clerk's budget went up about $3,000. And as you go across, you'll see there's definitely fluctuation in years. I just want to caution you, 2023, we have not had the town meeting yet. And a good portion of this, when it comes to printing and binding and postage and mailing, is very dependent upon how many absentee ballots. If you could have seen 2020 and the 2020-21 budget, you would have seen, more in spent in postage and mailing and printing. It's kind of a guess. And what used to happen is 1 year you would see the clerk's budget go up, and 1 year you would see the clerk's budget go down. And what we've done for the last, I'm going to say 5 years, is try to keep that level so that we don't know what's going to happen, or what's going to make people want absentee ballots or not. Like we said, when COVID came out, and we are seeing more post-COVID absentee ballot requests than we have in the past. So prior to COVID, so, I think it's a pretty conservative budget. Some of it is personnel costs and, some is supply costs.
Is the part-time employees, the ballot
Yes.
ballot clerks? Yep, okay. It only went up to $85.
Some ballot clerks don't take this.
Yeah. Not there for money, right? I don't see we can cut anything out.
No.
It's pretty bare bones.
Yep.
What happens financially if items don't pass in the budget during the vote? And we have to have further hearings and revote. That kind of thing.
We have a warrant article that always passes, that we spend, what is it, 3/12?
It authorizes-
Approve 3/12 of the previous year's budget to give us time to set up to correct
Town meeting.
the votes that didn't work.
Right, but I'm looking at the cost of the extra meetings and ballots and things. Does that,
Will those go to open town meeting?
okay,
So you go back to what you used to do many years ago?
so
We're
that,
not sending out absentee ballots then?
so it's not a lot of actual cash.
An example of something unplanned. Legislative seat that was vacated. The town clerk, the governor decided to have that election at the same time of the June election. But had she decided on another date, that would be additional costs the town would have incurred to have that special election.
But we don't have to worry about that, right?
No.
But that wouldn't have been printing a ballot, because that would be handled by the state. I'm just giving you an example. If you just don't know what's gonna happen, but you still have to pay for your ballot clerks and things like that.
Yeah.
I guess now is a good time to bring this up too, just because I know it, I'm assuming it will be a question. Back when we had COVID, and we had our budget issues, there were hours cut from the town office services. We went down from 40 hours a week down to 32. I don't know if that's a consideration. Again, I would not go back down to 32. But if you are looking for something like that, we could go to 33. I'm not recommending it, but we could go to 33 and it would be an approximate savings of $25,000 to $30,000.
It's bad, it's hard enough now for everybody at 36 hours. 36 or 38 to get the work done, 36 hours to. Yeah.
I think that's a really drastic measure, and we're not at that point.
Yeah.
And explore every avenue.
Yeah, like Bob just said, it's. How did you say about?
I said it's a really drastic step to
Right,
take, and
yeah.
we're not there yet.
Right. Correct.
What would that mean in terms of open hours for the town office?
That would be, I would recommend Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 to 4, and remaining Tuesday, 9 to 7.
Thanks.
Are you open Friday now?
Nope.
No,
No, or not.
So that's basically the hours we're doing now.
Except an hour on 3 days.
Oh, 9 to 5, okay,
It would reduce staff 3 hours a week.
yeah. And that would save $25,000.
25 to 30.
Good to know.
And I do realize it's a drastic step, but for total transparency, because we're looking at everything, and if we're looking at everything,
But you've also got to look at the level of service at the town
I
office as well, what it does.
completely understand.
Well, let me ask, how many people do you get coming through the door between 4 and 5?
Probably quite a few.
Realistically,
Probably quite a few. I'm usually
if you get quite a few, well, duh, it's a moot point.
I'm usually one of the last.
If you only get one or two,
Hour.
that's different.
Every community has those people between.
The last hour,
Whatever your last hour is, they're coming through.
get everything else done everywhere else.
Again, I will remind you, when it comes to cutting services.
Yeah.
If you were to ask the public, and we did during COVID. The first sacrificial lamb was the town office.
Yeah. Right.
Over public services.
And I think we learned our lesson on that as well.
I'm just letting you know.
Well, and that's right, because the public can't get in here
Right.
because the door is locked.
It's not
And
just
so, yeah,
registering your vehicle,
Right.
doing all that other stuff.
right.
We had to jump through.
And
hoops.
so on behalf of the community, our office hours are, and
But people are gonna ask, did you think about it? So I wanted it out there.
blame me, I did.
Also, the actual amount of work that the town office personnel has to do doesn't shrink.
Correct.
It's just,
Doesn't even shrink when you're out Friday. Monday's
Yeah.
really busy because there's a lot of work waiting for us that will just come in on a Friday.
We've never and we've never been restored to full. And that's okay. I mean, we're holding our own, but. If you're ready to move on.
I had a question
Okay.
on, I just, like the travel and meeting expenses, we never budget for it, but we always pay. On line 2075.
We have $500 in there. And then take some money from 2050 printing and binding.
We can move some line items around in there.
Is that
I
what you
would
want
rather
to do?
let you do it than us do it.
Is that what
We
you
can
want to
do
do?
that.
500?
Take 500 out of 2050 and put it into 2070?
Yep.
Is that okay, Peg?
Sure.
Yeah, because we're spending almost 500 a year
Yep.
and
Makes
sometimes a little over. Doesn't change anything.
No,
No,
number stays the same.
that will go down. It's because the town clerk we have is doing a good job learning what she needs to do. And so sometimes we'll have to travel, but we had the other town clerk we had for a long time, so there wasn't the travel or. That's good. Makes sense.
Good thing we got double doors, Peg, Pet. And his head's swelling right up.
Municipal building. As you know, we've talked about this a lot. We made the readjustment based on the suggestion of the budget committee and the select board last year to actually allocate a lot of these to the departments that are affected by it. So what you see remaining is the would be what the quote town office portion of it is.
Yep.
So
You
this is
reallocated the-
fire, EMS, and police.
So you reallocated almost 27,000.
And there was also some purposeful planning involved with that. John Daigle he's talked to me a few times about square footage and what the electric costs, what like certain things would cost per square footage. And so we looked at the year before that when we had a full year and broke down what the municipal costs, utility costs would be by department. So we might need to tweak that again, just to make sure it's
We
appropriately.
based this on square footage, and we also added in the time of use.
Right, so it was a little bit more like precise, but we'll probably look at it again next year to make sure it makes sense.
Really feeling that I need back, actually.
Trying.
Now you reduce building maintenance. 6310. Down to less than 2,000. Did we do a lot of repairs that we don't need to do? Is that?
That was part of the reallocation.
Okay. Okay.
The town clerk punching holes in the walls.
So for instance, like the garage doors in the building.
Yep.
The town office doesn't have garage doors.
Right. So now 53,000, I mean, what more can you cut?
But it's not really down. It's
I
just-
understand that, yeah, I understand that. Yep, okay. It's more precise on who's using what.
Apartment.
Yeah.
Tried. $11 for ground maintenance?
Yeah, that's like 2x2 grass. I don't understand.
Sweeping the mat.
Is that like a square foot grass?
A pound of grass seed, pound of grass seed, yeah.
Salt and sand for the side door.
I wanna buy you salt and sand, cause I don't know where you can buy it that cheap.
This year, we actually feel. Sodium chloride or whatever that is you put down outside, but we
Yeah.
weren't tracking dirt in.
Johnny didn't come and dump a pile with his biggest dump truck outside the door.
Will's like, I don't think so.
We did fill buckets for them.
Yeah, very nice.
But I do have to give credit to our, the plow driver, Will, who does the, municipal parking lot a lot. He does get a lot closer to the door than John Daigle.
Yes, I do.
He gets a lot closer to mailboxes too.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
That's a low blow.
No, I think you're wrong on that.
Yeah.
Just,
Ask the residents of 235.
Will this year.
I loved every minute of it. I'm sure you did.
You're welcome, Billy, for teeing that up so nicely.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions, comments on the municipal building budget?
We're done.
That's, we reached the end of our list.
The night.
It's 8:08. Yeah, we adjourned.
When's the next meeting, okay?
Next Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please.
I think next Thursday, we need to, take a look at capital and then go over, potential cuts that you think you might want to make. And I was going to invite all the department heads back, or do you think it's too soon to have them all back?
Well, that's a vote night, right?
It can be vote night, or you can take it to the following Tuesday.
Will we be getting a sheet as far as what the cuts are? Yeah, an updated sheet.
Yep.
So how much more of the book? I confess I don't have a running list of all the pages that we have and haven't reviewed yet in this book. How
So
much-
you haven't reviewed in the back of your book, there was a sheet that had a rundown of all of the accounts that we had and vote on. But so far, as of now, you still have to do other financing, but I would wait until the end of that because that's basically how we get funding in from the other funds. So that will be figured out once we narrow down the capital and the transfer station funds. But so anyway, we haven't done revenues, and we haven't done highway fund. Is what I'm showing.
We gotta do road.
Yeah, we gotta do revenue.
Yeah, we do need to go. hopefully there's something to look at.
I think we need to nail down where you want to be with your expenditures.
Can we get updated numbers on all these departments and then next Thursday night, start right at the beginning again, with office of the select board and start voting the changes that we talked about? Is that
Like
possible?
that?
What you thought?
Like that.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice. to
Yeah.
have, what we talked about.
Where we're at
The
now.
proposed reduction.
And then start right at the beginning and start putting some votes.
So
Then if
would
we
we
get
like,
to the sticky wicket, then we'll have to move on and come back to it.
But back to that one pager that you guys all have, I could use that and put in the reduction amounts on each
Right.
one.
That would be
There we
awesome.
go.
I think that'd be
I've
awesome.
done that before, and it's nice to see.
That'd
Okay,
be good.
I will do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. It'd be a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go through all our.
That sheet. That's what I've done before.
But
What
I think
potential up there.
that'd be nice, and then we can,
See where we're at,
where we're at, and then maybe
what we need to do.
at that point, we have a question for the department heads, I don't know, bring them back and.
I think if the department heads are there for you, that might be a great resource if you're really stuck on something and you need clarification.
Is it possible?
Narrow down what you need more information on after you look at the changes.
if we want to have the department head on the next meeting?
Well,
Okay.
So they don't have to sit around for the whole meeting while we're,
well, my question is there a possibility to get this before our next meeting? The sheet with those changes,
Sure,
so we can have a chance to take a look at it. It'll be a week away, so.
that's not wrong.
Yeah, the first of the week or something, yeah. May not. Need everybody to come back.
That might not be till Monday, guys,
Oh, that's fine.
or Tuesday.
No problem.
Snakes.
We're gonna have another.
so is that enough of a plan for the next Thursday?
Okay. That's, I didn't see that.
Julie?
It'll be in the package.
That's basically what, like, John, is John Logan still there?
Next week.
Yes.
He spoke at the beginning too, I did just.
Sure, now it's-
Tuesday.
I haven't updated it to show my emails and things like that.
You may look
I've
at them,
updated it to
and,
show
you know, that
the
may
final.
be other items that we want to discuss that night.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
5%
That's what I mentioned.
average. I haven't done anything.
Okay,
You'll say. this.
anything else?
Very disconcerting. Listening. to it from the-
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Billy. Do we have a second?
We're gonna have a contract.
All in favor?
Well, they're gonna have to.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Select board. Motion to adjourn.
Please, thank you.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor of adjournment? All opposed? Motion carried.
That's the most boisterous we've been all night.
Yeah,
Thank you. Julie.
got her done. Thank you. How's mom?